It is officially round 7, and I was playing the white pieces again in this game. Kind of feeling pretty confident from my last win, you know, it was not so bad. And so here I went in. This was a relatively very short game, by the way. It was like only 23 moves long. And I think it's just because my opponent had recently picked up this opening and didn't really understand how to navigate it. I had the white pieces. This was a French defense, but it was not a well played French from my opponent's side. With all due respect, I think he just didn't really understand this opening. So e6, d4, d5, and here I spent some time thinking and thinking and thinking, because I play like three things basically for the French. I used to play, when I started playing against the French, I used to play the exchange variation, right? Just takes, just mind my own business, develop and all of that stuff, right? But then it was later found that it's actually quite very good for black. I stopped playing it. I went on for my second option, which was the advanced variation, which is what I played here, which is e5. And these past few months I've been studying knight d2, even though I haven't really played it. There's this classical line. This is the main line. Here I believe I can play f4. I think I can play f4, yes, and then if c5, then just knight e2 here, and then later plop that knight, the other knight, to g3, I mean to f3, or even if I play like this, I think this is also just playable. This is also just completely playable. Not quite sure, but it's probably a little bit worse. I think knight jumps here. Then a lot of lines. There's some positions here where takes, where instead of that you can even play c5, right? There's a lot of stuff that goes on, isolated pawn positions, whatever, a lot of lines. But anyway, I went for my most trusted advanced French defense, e5, knight e7. I was like, okay, because also here there's this move that's also played lately, just bishop d7, and I find these openings really interesting. I don't know, I think you can play this in the knight c3 line, actually. Yes, not here. I think in the knight c3 line, this is playable. Just bishop e7. Yeah, and this should be fine. I think this is in the knight c3 line, if I'm not mistaken. But e5 and then knight e7, and I thought to myself, this doesn't look right at all. But it turns out still fine. Okay, obviously French ideas, right? Knight is going to f5, perhaps g6. Okay, so here I spent some time because I couldn't figure out if I wanted to commit to c3 immediately or delay knight f3 so as to actually push f4 and then knight f3 behind it, right? And then after, I decided here, do I play c3 now because c5 is probably coming, or do I first play bishop e3, try to prolong it as possible, like delay it as possible, or f4 and then upon c5, c3, and then upon the knight jumping in here, I have knight f3, but it's behind the pawn at least, right? Then I can play bishop d3, short castle. Then I have f5 once the knight jumps out of the square, right? That's what I thought to myself. So I played a very flexible move, bishop d3. Just bishop d3. There's no need to push c6 yet. Maybe he's not going to push c5 because this is looking suspicious. Maybe he doesn't know the theory, right? And he does go c5, and then of course c5 is met by c3, nothing fancy. Then he plays knight c6, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, wait a minute. So how is this knight going to get into the game? Knight d7, I suppose, okay, but like, and then where? Knight b6? Okay, but I'm like, okay, but this is already looking wrong. I go about my business, I play knight f3, he plays cd, I play cd, pretty classical. Then he plays bishop b7, then I'm like, okay, just a3, right? Just stopping any nonsense basically from landing here, like with knight b4. Just so you understand, hence the move a3. And then here he plays bishop d7, and I'm like, no way did he just play bishop d7. How is this knight going to get into the game? How? Knight a6? I mean, really? right? And it's plus 1.4. So I was not sure what he was trying to do here. So I first castled king safety before starting to attack, and then I thought here maybe he had to go for knight c6 now instead of castles. That's what I was thinking, right? Because let's see, knight c6 now. I think knight c6 now should be fine. Knight a6. I don't know why I keep saying c6. a6. It looks okay. I mean, I can chop down and damage the pawn structure, but I don't have really much stuff to show for that, in my opinion. But instead, after castles, I think castles, right? I played knight c3, and then what did he play? He played rook e8. Yeah, which is a passive move. Rook e8, felt like that was passive. Now I played b4, and the point of b4 is I want to discourage knight a6, because I felt like he had all the time in the world to play knight a6 and he didn't, and he played like rook e8. And now the point of knight of b4 is that if the knight comes, now this is a fork, right? This is a fork. Now he doesn't have time to even rewrite the knight to c7 the way he had wanted to. This is the idea. So that's why b4 now permanently discourages knight a6. He'd have to find another way, maybe bishop back and then knight d7, maybe b6, put the bishop here, or maybe get the bishop even out this way, maybe like a b6, bishop d7, and then bishop a6 while the knight is here. But his position is just suspicious. It's cramped, right? So I thought b4 was a good idea. And then bishop f8, I put double question marks. That's a blunder. And for those of you who do not know, there's a thematic sacrifice in the French defense known as the Greek gift. And yeah, look at these pieces. Sleeping. Look at white's forces. Everybody's wide awake. This sack is extremely powerful, right? Classical Greek sacrifice. Nothing new here. So I spent like a couple of minutes calculating the sacrifice. And then after coming to the consensus that it is correct, I went for it. Bishop takes on h7 check, right? He didn't take, which was worse. He played king h8. So if he took, this is what was going to happen, right? Knight g5 check. If king here and then just here, there's no way to stop mate here except by taking here and then takes. This was going to be the line, right? So he didn't go for that. Or if he comes up with the king, I do have queen g3 check, and then after f5 I can take check, right? I can take like this check, and then king cannot run this way, just so you understand, because then this is easily queen h5 check, king here, and then just f3. It's mate right in the middle of the board, right? Let me show you that line. So if here, king here, there's this check, king there forced, checkmate, right? So you cannot do that. And after this check, king has to take, right? And then upon king taking, I believe here I have queen f4 check, f3 check, yes. Now king cannot run here. Well, it can, but if here, there, check, here, I think I can even take check first and then take check. Or, yeah, just check maybe this way, right? Like, this is miserable. These were all lines I was calculating. If it's there, maybe just relax, right? Squeeze and squeeze and squeeze until there's nothing left. So there are a lot of beautiful combinations here that I could have played. Should he have gone king g4? Now also it's important to note here, a more boring, prudent approach would be to play queen g3. It's not losing. It's not the best move, but it's still winning, right? But just take check, and there's nothing black can do. He's going to succumb. So I had hoped he was going to go for king takes on h7, knight g5 line, stuff like that, but he did not. He played knight king h8, which was the faster losing move, just knight g4, right? Now I'm threatening knight g5. I mean, I'm threatening knight f7 check, forking the king and the queen here, right? And if he decides to play something like queen e7, guarding here on On f7, just queen h5. Now there's no stopping this check from coming, this discovered checkmating net, right? So maybe he thinks here he has a breather, or I don't know, maybe as something like f6, just check the mate, right? So bishop takes on h7 is a pretty deadly move. So after knight g5, he played the best move, queen takes, right? Takes, queen h5 check, king g7, and at the end of the day, I have a queen for 2 pieces and I'm winning, and his position is basically just uncoordinated. It's a mess. Now, I wanted to play this rook to here and then swing it this way. And I thought, no, man, let me just keep my rook here in case of knight f4, then of f4, I mean, just rook f3, and then I'm ready to swing it this way. Now, this is also under attack from the knight on c6. So the idea behind rook a d1 is to protect the pawn, but not only that. Right, this file is wide open for the white king, I mean for the white pieces. So now I have rook d3 possible moves, rook h3 lifts. That's why rook a d1 here I played, which I thought was very, very smart. Then knight e7, I played g4, just not allowing any sort of counterplay because the knight wants to jump into f5 and cause all sorts of problems, right? So for example, if here I just go on about my business and I'll play something like, let me see, here, he can first play g6, and now I can't really hang around, because coming to h3 blocks my bishop from, I mean my rook from going there, so that's bad. And then if I play something like queen h4, now there's knight f5, right? And then if I first take, which I can't, my queen is hanging. Right, so there are all these lines. So g4 was the best move, which I'm glad I found. Even the engine supports this move. Just control the movement of the knight. It can't come this way. Also now, in all variations, f4, f5 is strong because I get to retake with the pawn and still march forward. That's the point, right? So he goes knight g6. I go f4 indeed. Knight c6, f5. Hello, hello. Knock, knock, who's there? The white pawns, right? Knight e7. And here, there were a lot of lines I was calculating and I was really taking my time because I'm winning and I'm chilling. But I went for the easiest. Just simplify when you're winning sometimes. Don't overcomplicate things. Just simplify, simplify, simplify. So just bishop takes, knight takes, and then here I played rook e, right? Also, you don't want to immediately push this pawn, because then after g6 and then knight f5 and then bishop e6, I mean, black is lost, but it's more resilient, right? It's a more resilient approach to the position. Don't want to allow such things and counterplays. So just rook e3, I'm chilling. Because if now he takes, then I'm going to get the 2 pieces for the 1 rook, because I'm going to snap there, and then I'm going to snag there and then take back with the queen. So I'm going to get the 2 pieces. That's why I didn't mind that. And then it's going to be rook versus rook, and then bishop versus bishop, and then just queen versus rook. It's going to come down to a queen versus rook game, basically, right? Because those are going to cancel each other out. So I played rook e3, still chilling. He plays g6. I take it. Knight takes. And yeah, I took the time to play knight takes on e5, right? And like, there's no way he's going to live through this. This is miserable. This is miserable. My king is safe. These pieces are just gonna like converge on the black king, and it's undefendable. It's undefendable. So he resigned here, and a pretty clean game. Bishop f8 was a really, really huge blunder from him. Yeah, and I think he was uncomfortable navigating the French. He still needs to go like and study the ideas and what he needs to play. And yeah, I showed him after the game that instead of this knight was supposed to come here, which he also saw and said it himself. Yeah, it was a very beautiful game, and this was my second win again on run 7. It was the end of the day. Then I had to play round 8 tomorrow, so which I'll also be uploading the recap of that, because this tournament was just last week. I'm just recapping these videos and analyzing these games and sharing them with you guys. So I appreciate you being here and hanging around. If you're watching, do consider subscribing and pressing the like button, please. I will see you in the next one, Kings and Queens. Adjourned.